Hi everyone, my name is Claire. I am from Washington State, and today I'll be presenting my project on using machine learning to categorize health-related text posts on Reddit. This project was conducted under the mentorship of Dr. Trevor Cohen from the University of Washington. So Reddit is a social media platform with over 430 million monthly active users, split into thousands of communities called subreddits. Among these, some subreddits are dedicated to specific common diseases, where they have become popular destinations for users to report disease progression and symptoms. The anonymity and acceptance that comes with being a Reddit user in one of these communities has allowed for increased self-disclosure on such sensitive topics, making it an abundant source of valuable publicly available data for projects such as this one. These disease-specific subreddits can function as surrogate labels in training a neural network model. Label data in the field of healthcare is difficult to find and labor-intensive to create, so considering these subreddits as publicly available annotated data combats a major barrier in public health research. Additionally, applying machine learning methods to text has many valuable healthcare-related applications, from topic modeling to sentiment analysis. Compared with lexical and rule-based systems, machine learning can capture more contextual information. Convolutional neural network, or CNN, has become very popular for linguistic analysis, and this is what I used for my model. Overall, the intersection between social media and natural language processing presents a huge opportunity in healthcare research. So there is a large collection of subreddits that are related to discussions on specific diseases, but in this study, we do not attempt to come up with a comprehensive portfolio covering all of these diseases. Instead, we focus on answering three primary research questions or meeting three primary objectives. First, can we develop a neural network model without human labeling that can accurately distinguish which subreddits a post belongs to? Second, does the neural network model perform well compared with a traditional machine learning model? And finally, can we apply this model to another unseen data source and obtain accurate results? So here's a flowchart of my overall methodology before we dive deeper into the specifics. If we start from the upper left pink cylinder, I gathered posts from 7 disease-related subreddits, so 7 classification groups, and these posts were then filtered based on relevant Reddit tags, yielding a total of 43,771 posts of combined title and body text. So I took the titles and the bodies from each post. Following the middle pathway in this flowchart, they were then split randomly into training, testing, and validation groups in an 8:1:1 ratio. The text was pre-processed and a CNN model was created, and then running the text through the CNN model yielded the classification results. On the left side of the flowchart, this left pathway is analyzing the text using a naive Bayes classifier for our model comparison, and then the right pathway is the revalidation using r/askdocs, where we ran the posts from the new data source through the CNN model, and then also manually labeled the 1,000 most recent posts from r/askdocs, and then we compared these two results. Here is a brief look at the categories that we used in the model, so the subreddits. We have cancer, COVID-19, diabetes, eczema, eye triage, GERD, and STD. We used the PushShift API to collect these posts, and the moderators of the subreddits often define a set of flares for categorizing posts, which you can see in the rightmost column. And this is where users can tag their posts with an appropriate flare. So we utilize this where appropriate in filtering our data. Next, here is an outline of the CNN model. We tokenized each word with a 9,000 word dictionary, and we chose 9,000 after looking at the results because after 9,000, typos begin to show up which are not useful in training the network. This increased the amount of words covered by the word embedding from 51% to 94.9%. So going through the neural network architecture, we started with an embedding layer that was added. Second, a convolutional layer was added to turn it into a CNN. Then a dropout layer to deactivate a random 20% of the nodes per patch because otherwise the network would be overfitting right after one epoch. After that, a layer was added to take only the maximum feature vectors from for each dimension followed by a small dense layer, then a sigmoid output layer for classification. We used a learning rate of 0.0002, epochs of 15, and a batch size of 100. And these were all chosen through just trial and error. So after training our model, we applied it to content from r/askdocs as an example of a possible application on a new dataset. r/askdocs is a subreddit dedicated to general healthcare questions and discussions. We only gathered posts tagged as physician responded, which is a flare, and we used this response as well as the intent expressed by the title and body of the post to determine the disease of concern for our annotations. We manually labeled the 1,000 most recent posts with one of the 7 disease classes or none if none of the 7 diseases were applicable, and then compared these results with that of the CNN model to validate whether the model can accurately infer the underlying disease class for each post. Okay, here are the results of the CNN model's performance. From this, we can observe that the performance of the classifier is strong based on the high F1 value. We also see that classifying r/askdocs posts is a harder task than classifying the test set from the original 7 subreddits. This is because r/askdocs is not dedicated to a specific disease category. Thus, users are discussing a wide variety of topics, which make classification more challenging. For example, as a convention of this subreddit, most posts include descriptions of pre-existing medical conditions, which often includes diabetes. And as a result, diabetes has the lowest precision score of 0.5278 compared to the rest of the group. And contrarily, STD has the highest F1 score of 0.8961 among the group, which is likely because the characteristics of STD descriptions have less overlap with that from other topics. Nonetheless, the r/askdocs results does contain false positives in STD posts by mistakenly including topics that are related to pregnancy. The results in the table are based on a threshold of 0.6, which provides the best F1 score. However, the appropriate threshold will change depending on the application and whether we want to favor precision or coverage. On one hand, choosing a high probability threshold when identifying a category increases precision and reduces false positives. But on the other hand, choosing a low probability threshold increases coverage and reduces false negatives. So you want to find a nice balance there depending on what your application is. Okay, here are the results for the CNN model compared with the naive Bayes model. Here we can see that the CNN model is noticeably better than naive Bayes. It beats naive Bayes by 3.46% in precision, 17.95% in recall, and 14.33% in F1 score. So in conclusion, this study shows that it's feasible to categorize health-related consumer posts on Reddit using subreddit categorization in place of human annotation to train a machine learning model. With this system, a physician or medical expert can easily identify posts of interest to respond to or refer to a certain recommendation instead of having to navigate through a huge body of posts. This automatic categorization also can be applied to healthcare surveillance, recognizing information needs related to particular diseases. It can also provide insights on the way diseases are referred to using colloquial terms, which could assist public health policy approaches. Additionally, this study shows that specific subreddits can serve as self-reported labels to train a multitask classification model with high accuracy, combating the issue of scarce labeled training data that's available. In the future, we can attempt to extend this model to cover more subreddits because having a larger range of diseases will enable more fine-grained categorization. However, Reddit's disease-specific subreddits are limited and somewhat inconsistent, so expanding would be a challenge that warrants more research. We can also explore using various other social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook or electronic health records as data sources, which could be another way to expand our model. Such a model can be applied to improve downstream healthcare applications, ranging from public health surveillance to analyzing public perception of disease topics. I would like to thank my mentor, Dr. Trevor Cohen, again for guidance on this project, as well as all of my friends and family that supported me. And thank you all for listening.